Well, of course, the mass shootings that shocked the world, and they've prompted lawmakers in New Zealand to take action on the country's gun laws. It was the Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, who led the way in the aftermath of the shooting, introducing a temporary ban on assault weapons, semi-automatic weapons, and any weapons that could be used in shootings like this. Well, now the lawmakers have decided to put that temporary ban into permanent law in New Zealand. And it was Jacinda Ardern who addressed Parliament in New Zealand with this heartfelt plea.
We are here because of the victims and families. And I have to reflect, Mr. Speaker, that when I visited the hospitals and the victims, that none of them had just one gunshot wound. I struggled to recall any single gunshot wounds. In every case, they spoke of multiple injuries, multiple debilitating injuries, because these weapons were designed to kill, and they were designed to maim, and that is what they did on the 15th of March.
Now, there's nuance to this, of course. In fact, you can read the full story on Euronews.com. There are exemptions for some, and indeed, this is only, if you like, phase one of what the New Zealand government wants to do. They want to introduce a further piece of legislation in around June, which would look at putting people on gun-owning registers, etc. But this was a hugely significant move, with 119 voting in favour of it. That left one member of New Zealand's parliament voting against. Now, that lone voice was this man, David Seymour. And it's fair to say that reading his comments on this, reading his opinion piece, it wasn't so much that he objects to controlling New Zealand's gun laws, rather that he says Parliament has rushed this whole process. In this tweet, he says, at the very time we should have been celebrating the institution that represents our free society, we chose instead to discard it. Now, in the opinion piece he links to here, he goes on to say, trying to make complex legislation in 9 days, he says here, is madness. If it was effective, we would rush all legislation, but it is not. Now, this opposition, mostly seemingly coming from this idea of Parliament being rushed, was a lone voice in amongst that Parliament. And indeed, on social media too, many people praising the government's decision, welcoming the decision taken by Jacinda Ardern. People like Gloriz here, who is a refugee now living in New Zealand, praising Jacinda Ardern's words, calling it a beautiful, uniting moment. And indeed now all eyes looking to other countries. Kenneth Roth of Human Rights Watch tweeting to say, well, America, if you're watching, follow New Zealand's lead. New Zealand had a problem, had that mass shooting, legislated, changed the laws. America has had multiple mass shootings. Over there, that debate has stalled completely. So, of course, you can see here how wider voices, global observers will be looking now to the United States to see if any lawmakers there will follow the example set by New Zealand.